Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about how the all-wheel drive system works, and we're going to break this down and explain the operation of the 4x4 on a G63. This model is a 2018 G63. The way that the all-wheel drive system works, you got these buttons on the center dash, which are these. You would have to start them and turn them on one by one, and there are 1, 2, and 3. So you would start by turning on number 1, which locks the front and rear, and then number 2 locks the rear differential, and number 2 locks the rear differential, number 3 locks the front differential, and this locks the front and rear. And then you got this button, which is the low range and high range. In order to put the vehicle in low range so you could change the shifts, you would have to put this on low range first. To put the transfer case on the low range, you start the vehicle has to be in drive, so let's go ahead and start the car. And once you start the car, it has to be in neutral, so we shift the gear to neutral. When it's in neutral, you pull the handbrake up. The handbrake should be on as well, and then this would be the low range switch. So here on the dash it says high range. Okay, that indicates that the transfer case is currently in high range, which would be a normal speed or a normal driving condition. We're gonna go ahead and put it in low range. You press this button once, the light turns on, and then on the dash it says low range on, and over here in the bottom it also says low range on. Now you could change and start locking the transfer case. So if I press this button, you see the orange light comes on. Whenever the transfer case locks, it turns to red, indicating that the transfer case is locked. And this is for the rear, and this is for the front. Now let's go ahead and explain how this whole thing works. The differential and the transfer case are working with the vacuum system and also a motor. The transfer case itself works with a motor. The motor is what changes the transfer case to high and low range. That's what it does. And then you got the first solenoid, which is for the rear differential. The second solenoid is for the front differential. And then the third solenoid is for the transfer case, and it also for the vacuum system. You got this reservoir for the brake fluid, which is solely for the transfer case and differential system. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you from underneath. Alright, under the car, you get brake lines that brings the brake fluid down, which are here, and the vacuum lines that controls this booster here. So you got one for the front and one for the rear, and you got these vacuum hoses in the bottom, and you got brake lines on the top over here. So what this does, whenever the solenoid on top activates, it activates these two, it presses this down, and it pushes the fluid into the cylinders for the differentials. And then the transfer case itself, you got this motor, it should be here, and that's the motor that changes the low and high range. That changes the high and low range. So that's the motor. The common issue with these is the water gets in and it rusts the connector, so you always have to make sure that the connector is clean and it's not rusted and there's no water damage. And then you got these two that they work with the vacuum, and brake fluid also goes in and press the brake fluid for the front and rear. Now let me show you the differential in the front. On each differential you get these actuators, which works with brake fluid, That's the brake fluid line. To service these, which has to be serviced, you need to bleed these and change the fluid inside the reservoir. Otherwise, it damages the cylinder and the line. The line gets clogged. So it's very important to service these regularly. This actuator, again, works with brake fluid. Whenever the vacuum is being released from the top, it presses the brake fluid into the cylinder and it moves the cylinder forward and it locks the front differential. So if I move the wheel right now, because you've already pressed the button on top, you will hear the lock kicks in. There you go. And that was the sound. Now when I turn the wheel, you can see that both tires are going in the same direction and they're not independently moving right now. That indicates that the front differential is locked. The transfer case is also already locked. Now let's take a look at the rear differential. Same thing on the rear. You got this actuator that works with brake fluid. The brake fluid presses the cylinder forward and it locks the rear differential. And you got this switch, electric switch at the end, which whenever the cylinder pushes all the way in and it locks the differential, it also activates this switch, which then it turns the orange lights or the red lights above the orange light comes on, which we're going to go and take a look. I'm going to move this, but the handbrake is on, so I'm going to release the handbrake and move this and you can hear the lock. It must be already locked because I see the red light. So as you can see, both wheels also rotating in the same direction, which means that the differential is locked. Let's go back inside and show you the red lights. Now when you sit inside again, if everything is locked, all these red lights comes on, indicating that the rear, the transfer case and the front differential is all locked and actuated. Okay, in order to release everything, if you can press them individually like this, 3, 2, 1 in that order, but you see the lights are going back. Now I'm going to move the front wheel a little bit just so it releases the and I'm not sure if you heard the click, but I rotate the wheel and it turns off, and then you can press the button for the low range and it changes to high range when the gear is in neutral and the handbrake is on. I just wanted to briefly explain the function of and how it functions and the breakdown of the transfer case. The common issue with these is, one, the brake lines that I show you guys, they get clogged and the actuators doesn't work. This itself is a module, and then the transfer case module is right underneath the center console here. So the module for the transfer case is underneath here, and this module or switch cluster is what controls the solenoid inside the engine compartment, which I showed you guys earlier. Hope you find this video helpful. Please like and subscribe. See you all in the next video.